I killed the queen, my strongest hive an hour ago, and I am just. I've never done it before. And they were so strong, and I was reassembling the hive, and I just squished them.
Oh,
Um,
accidents happen.
No, they'll grow another one.
No, I've got one, I'm gonna get another.
They can grow another one now. It's longer.
Did you,
Yes.
Drew?
Takes a lot.
Let's see, what am I, retired? And, yeah, I live in Georgia. Treasurer.
I'm Emily Jaquish. I'm a VACD program assistant in the St. Albans NRCS office. And field staff have been recently encouraged by our new director to attend district meetings, so here I am.
What's your name again?
Emily Jaquish.
Thanks for coming in. You've been here before, but
Yeah.
if you need the restrooms or water or anything, we can put on some more coffee too, I think, if people would like some.
I'm Kate Wettergreen, Ag Program Manager.
And Molly, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Molly Magnan. I am a board member. I am not retired. High school
Just
science
fired?
teacher.
Yeah.
On
very
summer
tired. Awesome. Some of you may just notice I pressed record. It has become very clear that these meetings are part of open meeting law and therefore do need to be recorded and posted online. So figured we'd start doing that. We can always go into executive session, which does not require to be recorded. It is a tool in our toolbox. So I just wanna,
Do you think you could provide to us a list of the types of items that would be common to go into executive session?
I certainly can.
Salary discussion.
Personnel, matters personnel.
I have that currently, if we wanna go over that today, or we can do it at the next board meeting.
Linda just texted me, she's 15 minutes late.
Okay.
She was on her way.
Great. It is a pretty vague list,
Okay.
so there is a lot of,
It's not hard. We do that on the zoning board in Fairfield. Anytime there's anything that you don't feel you could be candid about, you simply go, let's save it for an executive session, and then after all the regular, that's how they do it. It's a way. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to do it, right? But after all the regular business is done, you go into executive session and you knock out all of the
That was,
sausage making, for lack of a better term.
that was the only comment that Michelle made when the last meeting said. By rights, we should have gone into executive session discussing,
Salaries.
So, well, it wasn't recorded, right? So.
no,
no, I think we did.
It was
thought we
recorded
did.
in our written notes as you guys went to executive
I
session.
thought
No,
we had,
but I mean, it wasn't.
We hadn't
recorded.
It wasn't recorded, yeah.
Right.
we haven't voted on it.
right. So I said, well, we weren't using Robert's rules of order, we were using Richards. My fault.
If somebody has the time and interest to go in and watch our board meeting online.
They're better for it,
God bless.
definitely. And yeah, it also, requires me to be posting the agenda a little bit earlier than I did this week. I think it's a full,
2 weeks.
I think it's only 1 week. I can double check. I think for this type of meeting, it might just be 1 week. I will confirm. So you might be getting emails from me sooner than usual.
Posted on the website.
Posted on the website, yeah.
I believe town fair was 1 week,
You do it too,
into,
2 weeks out.
Okay. We will confirm
right.
for sure.
Another way to comply is to just put it on the doors, print it and put it on the doors.
Yes, I think you
Supposed
have
to
to
be
post it in
two-
2 places.
Because it's, yeah.
We could do it on the door and online, and that would be technically be 2 places.
Just
Or you can post it on, based on your website.
Okay.
What do you have?
So
I mean, I get,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that whatever's easier.
Okay. I know had been some confusion about whether or not it applied to us, but it has been made clear that it does, and therefore I'll do better. I'll let you hold me accountable. Great. NRCC and VACD updates. Richard and Vicky.
I attended that, I don't think it's fine. And so whatever, there's too many names for some communities, I don't keep track of them. I attended. We've got our allocation of 25,398 coming. And a one-time 7,000 something,
And 17?
17,000, yeah. Well, this morning my computer was not connecting up with, so
Oh,
I'm not as updated as it should be, but yeah, I believe you're correct.
okay,
And that one time could be used for what we're using it for and salaries too.
right, there's no restrictions
No.
on that money this time,
Correct.
okay. This is funds from the Vermont legislature. We do pretty regular advocacy, trying to get our statewide funds for all districts and NRCC up. And so that's what he's referring to.
Yes. VACD, there have not been any meetings since the last conservation district board meeting.
Okay.
It's been some emails exchanged about some policy things, but nothing, no meetings. So
Well, it sounds like maybe today is Jill's last day.
I think Jill is last day. In fact, I need to reach out to her. Because, yeah. So I sit on the VACD executive committee as well, at least for short time.
Great. And then Richard, I know you and I had kind of talked about, potentially increasing the board per diem rates for conservation district meetings. We are allowed to increase the rates for conservation district meetings. We're just not allowed any NRCC meeting, because it's technically a state agency, those ones can't change. But we could increase our internal payments.
What are we paying now
It's $50 per meeting.
for meeting? Regardless of
mileage.
time?
Yep.
And how does that apply to like, other meetings, like when you go to council?
Those are just 50. It's state law that hasn't changed since before the 80s.
So we invoice NRCC for the meetings that he attends.
Okay.
And we pay him on the regular quarterly reimbursements that you all get
Okay.
for those as well. But the conversation is just like, you know, you guys are all taking 2 hours out of your day for these meetings. Richard's definitely, I think him and I have met 4 or 5 times in the past 2 weeks.
And is he getting paid for that?
He will be getting paid for those meetings at the $50 per day rate. Oh, yeah.
So I have not been taking the per diem, but if I were to start taking it, I could get covered for my treasury time too.
Yes. And we could increase it to 75 an hour or 75 per day or 100.
I suggest 100, and I'll tell you what, in the 90s, I was getting 100 and a quarter on the farm credit card. 90s. So this has been since the 70s or earlier, $50.
I want to know what the impact was on our budget. How much are we spending on per dime? If we doubled it?
We spend very little. I can pull up QuickBooks right now,
Okay.
and I will.
Just take last year and double it.
Never heard of him say.
Per diem, per dime. I don't
Never
know.
heard. the
I don't know.
time.
I don't know what's right.
It's always,
It's
you've always
probably
heard per diem,
per diem,
per dime. It's interesting. I was like,
like. California.
oh,
I like it.
yeah.
If I'm turning around the E and the M.
I think also it's going to kind of entice
It's not what's
some other board members that possibly get on.
Yes.
For a farmer, you think that, oh yeah, a lot of money, yeah, I lose one calf and it's, today it's $7,800. So you gotta be able to, and again, besides Molly working with their farm family, I'm the only farmer.
so through 3 quarters. $2,800.
So it's not a big impact.
It's not, it's a very small impact.
Whatever the board wants to do, I don't do this for the money.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I also have been a farmer for all of my life,
Mhm.
and we have been they barely paid enough to exist, and that's why so many of us are going out.
And I
I'm
think
still
too,
coming to this board and work for nothing's gonna. I've worked for nothing enough in my life.
I'm not
Okay,
arguing.
Sorry,
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying,
it's an old
I'm,
thing.
you're obviously, it's very important to you and.
Well,
I can-
no,
I
not
can
necessarily.
respect that, but
What's important is that we get valued more than we've been for the last 100 years. Period.
and I think too, in terms of like recruiting for future positions, I do think $50 is a hard sell. Especially for folks who there is an opportunity cost more than some folks who might have more free time.
And it means more to me because I'm the last of the line of 100. Since 1655. And you both knew why? Because we weren't paid.
It sounds like Linda.
But it's an enticement, like she said.
Welcome back. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure we're bottoming up.
No,
Good
discuss.
stuff. Okay, great. I know.
I put mine in my purse, but we figured we all knew each other.
Yes, Linda. Perron.
They're magnets,
The magnet ones are the best.
so you don't have to poke holes in your shirts.
So great.
So Linda, just to cut you up, we are currently talking about increasing the per diem rate for board members on our board to $100 per meeting. To adequately compensate you all for your time and expertise and to help with recruitment in future years. We are allowed to increase our per diem rates. We're not allowed to increase the rates that members would get paid to attend the state NRCC meetings. Those are in state law, they have to be $50 an hour until the state comes to their senses. Not $50 an hour, $50 per diem.
Okay.
And so we are just
I didn't
discussing.
even know there was.
This goes back
I
to
definitely sent you some checks.
70s, 80s.
Really?
It's the same thing.
Yeah. We'll talk, we'll troubleshoot
Okay.
that.
Okay.
We will troubleshoot
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, so I'm happy for anything.
Maybe you gave her your direct deposit information.
Maybe I did, I don't think so.
I think
We'll work
we'll work that out.
Going into your account.
Yeah, yeah, right. Recruited.
Molly, how do you feel about it?
I guess I agree with Dan that I don't do it for the money, but I mean, if financially the board is in a good position to do it, I think it makes sense for the down the road recruiting board members who maybe would overlook the opportunity. But I really don't think the money is enough that you're going to get a different caliber person. You know, you're going to get people who do it because their heart is in their place or being on a board, helping to conserve Vermont's land.
I think you might get somebody, I mean, we're at an age and stage where we're fortunate, you know, to have gone through our income generating years where. And you might get somebody who's younger and maybe has an incredible. Piece of knowledge or knowledge select that would really matter. And
Yeah,
because they would have to
right.
give up doing something else that they
Yeah.
could be earning. So I think it's a good idea for the attraction of some new, different kind of people.
Yeah, and Walter's been coming to the last several meetings and he would never be or he's currently, even if he is interested in being an associate board member, still would not be eligible for the payment until he's a voting member. But like, I know today
He's working, right,
sure.
right. I was thinking of him specifically, so.
Yeah.
I'd be in favor of, bumping it up. If that's what the rest of everybody feels would be helpful.
Our budget can certainly absorb it. And we definitely want to express how grateful we are to all of you and all the time you're spending with all of the emails that I send you.
Did you get my law epistle last
I
night?
did,
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to respond to it, but I did read it. I was like, this looks like I need to focus before I respond to this.
Yeah.
Focus, keep second.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
So-
second that.
Who made the first motion? Vicky did, okay,
I'll second
and Linda seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Wonderful. Thank you all for everything that you do for us. I'm assuming Sarah did not send you with NRCS updates.
Correct.
Okay,
I don't have them.
we will table that moment.
Oh, you work with Sarah?
I do.
Yes. Are you aware that this is her father?
Yes.
Okay.
She probably warned her.
No,
Nickname her Little Richard for nothing.
Alrighty.
But she's a square shooter. You don't have to ask her what she's thinking.
I like her style.
You learned that from Cindy.
Yeah.
Alright. June 12th, 2025 board meeting minutes are currently on the screen. And please tell me,
Can you scroll down, Arena, so we can see the part where executive session, just to confirm that? I looked at them last night and I didn't catch that.
We didn't vote it.
Supervisors enter executive session. Okay, so we,
Huh. It might have been. from them.
I don't think anyone actually said it out
Yeah.
loud. I just
Sure.
assumed.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's to do something. Because Michelle Monroe picked up on,
okay.
I asked her how I did at the meeting.
She let you know?
Yeah. Well, I just asked the question, you know, how I,
Yeah.
you know, outside observance, and she
Sure.
did pretty good, but she should have gone to the executive session. Okay.
Oh, yes, Linda, by the way, we're officially following open meeting law now, and so this meeting is currently being recorded
Okay.
and will be posted on our website.
I'm just curious if it's appropriate to have
Somebody will see.
salaries. I mean, I guess because we're a municipality, it is appropriate.
I've gone back and forth over the years too. We have always done it.
Yeah,
It is the only place that that information lives.
okay. I think it's fine because we're considered a municipality,
Okay,
as long as the employees understand that.
yes,
Some
and the
people are very
employees do
sensitive
know that
about
this is, that if they wanted to look at their colleagues, this is where they would find it as well.
So what are we looking at right now? It's this is minute meetings.
Yeah.
Do
Yes,
we have anybody accepting those minutes as presented?
I just have one little correction. Did you make that?
I did.
That's fine.
Okay.
I
Just corrections.
split it up. It's already been corrected.
Okay.
No big deal.
No,
Well, then I'll make a motion to accept as presented with the amendments or correction.
do we hear a second for that?
I can second that, again.
Okay. Dan and Linda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Excellent. And then update on outreach on the building. You guys are gonna see that very ridiculous notes. So we did, sorry, this is like, I'm actually embarrassed to share this, these notes right now. Oh, this isn't that bad. Sometimes I leave myself just ridiculous notes that I know what they mean, but they were never meant for others' eyes. So we, Linda, Vicky, and myself and Arena sent out a request to everyone who's on our mailing list, which is what,
2,000 people.
2,000 people, and asked them if anybody had, land, buildings, leads on anything that we could potentially buy. And so far, the only person besides Kent who has reached out to me, so saying that they still haven't gotten any bites on that building that he owns, was Tim Smith, actually with the Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation. And we had a very brief chat. And I said I'd bring this to you all, and then if we were interested, I'd follow up with
So
him.
this is the one in St. Albans or down in Georgia, which industrial park?
This is the St. Albans Industrial Park,
Which is where?
which is, you know, where the UVM Extension
And
offices?
Jerry's keep going back there, back of Magnets, Scott Magnets and Ian.
It is,
Okay,
it's
so south of town.
south of town, it's before the UVM Extension office.
That's right. I remember seeing some.
Yeah, And they are, it sounds like I'm pretty sure I got this right. I would definitely get more details if you guys were interested in me exploring it further. It sounds like the Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation is purchasing the parcel of land to put a kind of like build to suit building up. And they're hoping to have 2 or 3 owners in that building of that land that they could like transfer it to.
Do like a duplex or triplex.
Yeah,
Owners or tenants?
No,
it's my understanding it's owners.
Cause there's no sense to go from renting to renting.
correct. This is, so our next step is not running a tenant, is going into a
Ownership.
ownership.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It sounds like their timeline, they would expect people to be able to move in a year from this fall, if everything goes according to plan, which would almost perfectly align with our lease. Our lease here is up in November of 26.
It's a short time to move. But.
Yeah,
Not built yet either.
Right.
Some of our questions would be, of course, what part? Is there so many square foot? Is it, what would be the price? Is there gonna be a lease we have to pay on the land?
Yep.
Those are some of the questions. we
It
got
might
to
be
ask.
worth pursuing
They
because it
definitely get pursuing.
definitely
Yeah.
would be cheaper since we wouldn't own the land.
right.
So,
Then we'd have to put the numbers together.
yeah,
Is there like an association fee, something like that?
Those are
Lorena's gonna
questions.
write down all these questions.
I think,
This is the information I have for
I
you.
think
Okay.
Lauren would like
Okay.
us to follow up, I'm guessing.
I would think to get Tim here.
You know, who's very involved with the industrial park and development is Andy Crossman.
Yeah, and he's on the board of the.
Right, he's on there.
Yeah.
So he would probably over a cup of coffee be able to answer if you had a list of questions.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to sit down with Andy and. Right, and.
But I'd also think Tim Smith should be here if he's
Sure.
to get the
Uh,
official load in.
yeah, once we have our next meeting scheduled, I'll definitely invite him and see if it'll work for him. Maybe I'll,
Yeah, and if you could send us like a map, have him send us a map of where the lot is.
Definitely.
Is there any opportunity for demonstration? Was the land suitable for any like plantings or anything else that we could do?
it is, I've actually soil sampled this field for Scott Magnet before.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if they would allow it, but it's definitely plantable.
Well, that would be the question. Would
Yeah.
that be allowed?
And along with that is, you know, you either could or might want to do events that are outside, or you're gonna have stuff that needs to be parked out there, or you're gonna have deliveries that take up, like, what kind of parking lot space
Yep.
Yeah.
are you big enough to put up a tent for something that's temporary,
Right.
cover, or
Put a
whatever?
Reaper in there for the tree sale. Right?
Right.
These
Yeah,
would be
I
all
think-
questions for the fellow you're talking to and
Yeah.
Tim,
If you had like a parking lot like this situation, you'd be in rough shape,
right,
because, but you'd have to have something like the back,
here, but those are questions, all these are good questions to ask
yeah.
of the people that supposedly can answer them.
So it's my understanding. I believe it'd be this area here.
Already,
Already cleared.
right, way in, yeah,
This
Main
has
road.
been developed.
what's the main road? Right,
Here's Main
That's
Street.
it.
And
okay,
so you would come down Industrial Park Road, go around the roundabout. Go down
Okay.
past the gate at Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
And pull in here.
Might be really good.
Where is that? I don't even know where is that at the end of town where,
South end, I
South
already
Main,
asked.
since you crest the hill,
yeah,
there was a magnet farm, it's in the
way
back,
past the, like, where the ambulance center is
yes,
and the veterinarian.
yes.
Keep going.
Just,
south.
just past the ambulance, start climbing the hill.
Yeah,
That's the backside of it, but you,
Okay.
to get to it, you gotta go down
Okay.
industrial park
I
and
get
Ben and Jerry's.
And the
Okay.
railroad runs right back
Back
here.
of that
Okay.
farm.
I got it.
That farm originally was a Saint Louis farm. Anyway, and Mag,
Yeah,
is it Magnin or Magnin?
There's no T.
It was Magnin.
Yeah, same as Molly.
Scott.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's Scott. It was his parents.
Yeah.
I don't know if the ownership's transferred yet, but he's been farming it.
yeah, he's been farming. Plus he does his, customer.
Plus, I think something tells me that you should bear in mind who you were sharing it with.
Yeah.
Because if they also, or if they were not a compatible, I don't know, it just seems like you should know who you're sharing with. This is
Yeah.
never, yeah. Yeah, you just, there could be a whole lot of reasons why you wanna.
I'm hurt.
You smell
Like that.
green.
Oh, I
Beer.
heard about it, though,
Yeah.
yes, oh.
Dude.
Gonna have been a problem, but it'd be ideal to not be next to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or somebody who also wanted to use, that had a lot of trucks or that had a lot of
Right,
equipment that they would constantly be using more of the parking space than was their share,
right.
or had a lot of traffic. You just wanna know
Yeah,
who your
who your
partners were, or else you could have a tremendous conflict.
Good to know your neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll connect with Tim and maybe Andy as well and try to get
You have
sit
his
down.
contact, right? Or
Yes.
you-
Is he Fairfield guy?
No, he lives down on the bay. Right on the
Across
right.
the- Why do I know that?
He did the strategic plan with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Friend.
Yes.
Ideal situation when I said our own building.
I know. So
Anyway.
with that in mind,
You got all these
we can
questions.
certainly pursue this.
But no farmers have reached out.
No, and I know Molly, you and I still haven't connected, so I apologize for that. About the Graves
Yeah,
house.
you guys all saw my comment that I didn't want to get us mixed up with a realtor until we've sort of exhausted other opportunities. Is that
Yeah.
okay with everybody?
Absolutely.
So Molly, I just need to connect with you too, this summer. I know you're out of school now, so maybe it'll be a little bit easier, or it might be harder.
The only person I talked to was a lister. But that's one.
Okay.
Just keep an eye open if anything.
Yeah.
Repeat there, but
Yeah.
he's not a realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Molly,
I will dig a little bit this week and see what I can find.
that sounds great. Thanks. Alrighty, other updates, it's not explicitly on here, because we didn't finish it till this morning. But we have a truck now. Thank you very much, Richard and all, for your responsiveness on many things lately.
To jump, but what
Yeah.
we've got, Warren and I have not got coordinated and started now. We're only talking a 2-year lease. Next time, you can do it on your own. You'll have established credit, you'll have established the organization, so all the numbers.
You,
Right.
Yes, right now I'm backing this one.
you're a co-signer.
You guys aren't nice. I'm gonna take the truck back.
That was so kind of you.
Well,
It's very kind.
I,
Must be a lot of excitement to chat, to have your own wheels.
Are you guys excited?
Would you pick it up Friday?
Yeah.
Are you
Friday
gonna get a
afternoon.
magnet for the sign,
We're thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to make sure that it's actually magnetic before we order it, but yes.
So NACD may have those available for sale.
Oh,
You guys should probably look through, they used to have a marketplace, so,
cool.
check there first.
Okay,
Unless you want it to look like the Franklin County District logo, if you just want the C
right,
or whatever it is that way.
okay.
So not to put another rock in your rucksack, but have you thought about basic care and feeding rules and regulations, use of, so it doesn't end up going on a vacation to Colorado or California or?
What an excellent leading question you have there, Dan. We have a draft vehicle policy that I didn't send in advance, and I apologize.
Wonderful.
We literally worked on it over the weekend, so I apologize.
I find it in her yard. Yeah.
We have talked about that.
There can be, on occasion, there may be, a really late night and it just makes sense to. But as a matter of habit,
Yeah.
you don't,
If the job is, here's, one of the ladies takes
Yeah.
it home, and the job next morning is here,
Right.
and you've got the materials, sure, I can see that.
I mean.
So glad you
always
said that too.
Be able to put a common sense overlay.
Right.
And line it up and go.
Yeah, that word you just used?
That's a good.
Overlay.
Common sense.
Well, common sense.
Aside from Lauren, does everybody else live in Burlington?
We have 2 staff that live in like the Cambridge Fletcher area,
Okay.
and then the rest live in Burlington, Winooski, our intern, yeah, Colchester, Richmond.
So it's unlikely that it's gonna be closer to home.
Cambridge it could be.
So the only big thing that I think would be useful to have some sort of rule where you could bring it home with you is we do store trees at the Intervale Conservation Nursery,
Mhm.
which is in Burlington. And picking those up the day of a planting, as opposed to coming up here, getting a truck.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
That one, I think
Right,
makes
you
the
stage
most
it.
sense.
Right.
Evening before you stage it down there, the
Right.
truck.
Right,
As long as it doesn't become someone's commuting vehicle.
No,
right.
Because of the, I don't know, what's the, how, the mileage every year?
12,000.
12,000 is our
So
allowed.
You're gonna
I
keep track
imagine
of that.
11,999, I pull the keys.
Right,
Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you've anticipated and you're already well on your way to. Good.
While we were waiting to get paperwork done, we had.
Congratulations.
we had a while,
Oh,
many times. I called up, the IRS hung up on me twice after waiting 45 minutes
An hour to
on
get
hold.
back.
Oh, so that was really fun, but we got it done.
Yeah.
Why
But
did you have to call IRS?
because we needed a 471 form to say that our our taxpayer identification number was our taxpayer identification number. They wouldn't take any other form
Wow.
that from the IRS dated within the past year that says what we are.
On the vote, and they needed all you guys to chime in.
yeah, we did.
So
Yeah.
as we're dumping booths, which is what we were doing, we put this other, we put this other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
Anyway,
yeah, I won't tell you my personal story. Mine are different, so.
but that's been accomplished and it'll be much easier the next go around.
yeah.
And
Um,
relax, we know who the soil conservation district is.
Yeah,
in county.
and they are a block away, which is super helpful too, for when we do have to do maintenance, and they do have a drop-off program, or a shuttle program.
That's
So that's
full-
great.
full-
Oh,
Yeah, full maintenance, the full 2 years, and actually, if we kept it another 6 months, the thing's actually for 3 years.
the oil filter.
Oh, yeah,
all the-
all taken care of.
Well, that's nice.
The only
Yeah.
thing is like you puncture a tire, well, that's your,
Right. And we are all set with insurance through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. So that's all set, and I have not yet, but I will be setting up direct, automatic payments. So that I don't tank Richard's credit score.
And who's paying for the gas?
So that's a question I would love to discuss. I think there's 2 routes we could do. One, I guess there's 3 routes. One, we could get a credit card just for the truck, like NRCS does. 2, myself and Arena could be in charge of being told when the truck needs gas, and we could go take care of that. But don't
Then you
love.
have to be compensated, reimbursed.
Well, so for that way, we're the ones with the credit
Credit
cards
and-
for
Oh,
the district.
And I'm not gonna hold.
What? And then the third option, I think, is like, we do already have a pretty solid reimbursement, quarterly reimbursements that all the staff know about. And so if a staff person's out and they wanna use their own credit card to pay for gas.
I would rather not.
I'd make a recommendation, just let's cut to the chase, that you get a credit card specifically for gas. And once again, this falls in line with one of Richard's goals, which is to establish your credit rating, and it'll be
But
another.
it has to be tied to an individual,
But
right?
just for
We
gas.
could also just get a debit card, probably, not a credit card.
That probably makes the most sense.
Okay, so I will,
I'm just gonna throw this idea in there just
Yeah.
sideways. We had a credit relationship with, Clarence Brown's. So then
Oh.
you just have one place where you could fill it up, but they give you a little card. You could keep the card in the truck and then skip all of
Yeah,
that.
Clarence
extra
Brown
stuff.
is now SB.
Oh, it is?
They own
Okay.
both SB.
All right, well, anyway, that's where you get the thing filled up. If somebody just went
Right.
and topped it off every Friday, that was just part of their job or something. Then it's just all just runs through your billing, your normal expenses cycle.
Right.
And,
I think that's what most dealerships do.
Yeah,
As long as you're not traveling any great distances, then it becomes problematic.
Well, then you get reimbursed as an employee.
Yeah.
That's another option.
so that would keep that down to a minimum, and that's probably the fallback position.
But you'd have to set up an account Or at Collins.
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah,
But
but
I'd say whatever's easiest, Lauren, for you.
Yeah, whatever.
Because if you have a credit card that's just on the keys like NRCS does,
Right.
at least that's what we used to do. Yeah.
You know, why don't, figure out what works best and brief us back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just send a note out and go, here's the route I'm
We would
taking.
have settled,
But
okay,
I wouldn't do the credit card because it's such a
Right.
pain in the ass.
yeah,
Right.
that's been tricky as
Person.
it should be, yeah. Alright, I will connect with People's Trust Company and see if that's easy enough to just get another debit card. I would probably have to get both of your signatures on that,
Mhm.
and I think just for our own knowledge, I think that we'll definitely reach out to,
whenever it used to be fire
Yeah.
trucks band, these days
It's
that's
owned by SB Collins, like.
Yeah.
Doing business around for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it worked really, really good and it was just smooth.
I
Yeah,
have an
and they're not
account,
far
it's
away
on
at
the
all.
phone.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
What?
we can definitely look into that.
Where are they at on
Right
Lower
inside
Newland? Or
Yeah.
Just one
Lower
route
Newland,
from
yeah.
Federal Street?
I think they're right
Where the
by,
co-op- Where the co-op.
Yeah.
where DFA is.
Yep.
Still is, but
Right.
we're still.
On the same street, I think it's.
I've seen,
Right up from the co-op, their store.
that's not far,
Okay.
not out of the way.
Right.
Too much.
And then I guess I'm happy to send this out and I would actually love another set of eyes on it. I don't think this is necessarily the right setting for us to co-edit
Yep.
a plan. But that was really my biggest question. And the question about, like, there are times when it does make sense to bring it home. And maybe like you need to get district manager approval.
Traffic violations are the driver's responsibility for paying all the tickets, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Buy you buy, is the rule, right?
Under no circumstances are traffic and parking fines to be
Yeah.
charged to the district.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so, I guess, would somebody be willing to like be a set of eyes after this meeting? On this, or I can send it to the whole board too, but it's just like.
I hope you grab this from someone.
This is from the Wyndham County
Right.
NRCD and some of the NACD templates. And actually our intern.
I just send it to all of us because, somebody will find one thing,
Yeah.
somebody might
Okay.
find
Yeah.
another and.
Yeah.
I think it's we've got the government experience,
Yeah,
they've got.
I'm always
private
amazed
sector
at something that
experience.
somebody else saw that I completely missed.
That sounds great. And I'm gonna update this yellow sentence
Yeah.
to say on reasonable,
Upon approval of their supervisor.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Something to
Or whoever the keeper is,
Yeah.
maybe it's a run evaluating the situation.
that's
We
actually
had to
kind of
prove the
another,
Government to take that home overnight, we had to prove that it was a benefit to the government. to
sure,
Save staff time, to save whatever.
sure, okay,
And you don't wanna make it so cumbersome that, no one
right,
Yeah.
wants to go
Yeah,
through.
it was a pain in the
No.
butt. We had
Yeah.
You wanna,
find all kinds
again,
of forms.
you're small enough,
right, we'll just save
You
an
should-
email in a folder.
you
Yeah.
should just be
Like,
able
yep,
to.
they had permission.
It makes
Here's the
sense.
Documentation if there are any
Good.
questions, if you do drive by the house and see.
Well, you go home Friday night, fill it up, and then you have it back in the morning. If we can go live close to the federal meeting.
Right, if it just say park, right, yeah, but it will just be used for
I'll just
work
check it on my
purposes.
computer and shut it off.
Are we gonna
Yeah.
get snow tires? And if so, when?
Yeah,
I would
And
like
say
to,
Yes.
Yeah,
let's
great.
do that.
yeah.
And then we may as well just make a motion now that we get snow tires before, no later than October. How's that?
Usually,
Yeah.
I shot for.
I buy it.
Thanksgiving, whatever,
Well,
I agree with you, the
Yeah.
sometimes, because those things there.
but you can get a deal now. If you go, there's
a.
like go to Stones
yeah,
and go, hey, what do you got for snows? And they've got them sitting there taking up space.
right,
So.
Yeah.
Now's the time to buy snow tires.
Not
October?
necessarily mountain,
No,
Right.
just buy them.
yeah, cause you were gonna look for some rims.
Does everything.
yeah, and
Car place.
Yeah.
they supposedly in 2024 they changed something.
Oh, the Tacoma rims,
Right. It is.
Where's one pack?
I thought I could go back to like 06s or 10s or 19s. No, they changed.
Actually, Gen 5, I think, of a Tacoma, or what are they on? I don't know. 'Cause I got a Gen 2.
okay, so it sounds like maybe we'll just get the tires, but we'll get them mounted every
Yeah.
time we get them stopped out, especially cause it's only a 2-year lease, I think. if we
Yeah,
were-
Yeah,
If you own one,
Right,
it
then
makes
you should
perfect
buy the
sense.
rims, okay,
get the tires. If you You have space to store them?
Yeah.
Do you?
Actually, bringing that point up, it wouldn't hurt to put them on and use them year round almost, but then the tires are on it would be almost brand new, and they'd come back, and they wouldn't assess you the worn out tires. Cause they will, if they're all worn out, you can say, well, you gotta.
If you're not
tires.
putting 12,000 miles in a year, you're not gonna really, in 2 years, you're not gonna wear out snows.
No,
So
exactly,
get them, throw it on, and yeah, when you buy them, say how, can you throw in, mounting and balancing right now? And
Might help you in a muddy field too.
oh yeah,
definitely. will.
they're more aggressive.
Definitely.
So it
Get
sounds
it
like
and get it.
we'll go buy snow tires and get them put on and leave them on.
Yeah, good. And
That
get a
sounds great.
good
Save,
repair.
save the ones you
Yeah,
have,
same,
Right.
yeah.
and as it gets traded back in, put them back on, and say, hey, I got brand new tires. on
It'll be a little bit louder going down the highway,
Right.
get a little more chatter, but don't get them sledded.
No,
Those will drive you.
they're not technically legal after May,
Yeah.
it gets done.
They
it's
pop
done.
themselves.
And there's
That
another
happens.
thing, it's just a
Yeah.
driving point, don't wait till you get stuck to put it in forward drive.
Yep.
If you see the puddle, put it in forward drive. Biggest mistake people, I've seen even with tractors, they get stuck before they put it in.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah, and these new four-wheel drive mechanisms,
Yeah,
you can go down the interstate 70 miles an hour in four-wheel drive.
right.
It just costs a little more
Yeah,
gas,
a little bit, but it's
not much.
better to be going down the road than sitting in the snowbank.
That'd be silly.
And then so in here, we don't necessarily have, I guess the conversation I wanna have is. What are the maintenance responsibilities? I can lay those all out, but who's in charge of them? I'm happy to be in charge of them, but also if it makes sense for not me to be in charge of them, I think that's also something Rena would be willing to do.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do it.
It's your
yes.
decision.
Okay,
That's your decision.
I would love to not be in charge of them. You're in charge of all the vehicles at NRCS, right?
I just made 3 appointments today.
Yeah, maybe you guys can connect, it's perfect timing.
And generally, it wouldn't be just contact, but it's covered.
Right, it'd just be scheduling the appointment. not be-
An email saying
And
it's ready,
Yeah.
for
Air
your
filter.
inspection.
Wait for the light to come on and then you get
Yeah,
notified.
well, that's what I thought, mentioned. that,
Our light's on. Our-
They're really
Push the button, don't start, just call them. Don't get frustrated, just call them.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to acknowledge, we will be changing, I pulled out the excerpt in the employee handbook about what we have now for vehicle use, and we'll just have to update that next time we update the employee handbook too.
It was getting to the point, working through the government conservation office, there were some of the people that wanted to drive, couldn't drive. They were getting limited on what to drive. Then
Yeah.
the other idea, you got a project to do, we can't get the truck today.
That reminds me, people under 25 can't get rental cars, men under 25 for some reason can't rent rental
I
cars.
think anybody under 25, I don't think I could.
You could do it, it's a lot of money.
It's,
Um,
yeah. Just
My daughter and
make sure, because
Possibly.
occasionally you might have an intern that has to take it.
Yeah,
Make sure your insurance doesn't have some kind of clause about how
Yeah,
young
yeah.
somebody can be
okay,
and drive this thing.
They
Yeah.
have to be able to look over the steering wheel.
You just never know. That could be one of those clauses that you just.
Right.
You must have this fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I failed many times when I was young.
great. All right, we're a little behind, so I'm gonna try to keep rolling. But thank you all for your input, this is helpful, and I'll send our draft out. So after I make a few tweaks, I would appreciate a response like sooner than later, just so I feel like we should have that in place before we start using it. So if this week or early next week would be helpful, we don't have a ton of field work, we have like almost no field work this week, so I think we have a little bit of time.
Wednesday we do. So we might just use personal vehicles.
Yeah. Financial process improvements updates. And so this is, just wanted to provide an update that we've gone through phase 1 of our work with structural integrity, where they've identified all the areas where we could have improvements. You all might remember I'd asked for approval to sign a letter to apply for a grant with the Vermont Community Foundation to pay for phase 2. we unfortunately did not get that grant. It sounds like Vermont Community Foundation is getting a lot of requests and just has quite limited funds. The Watersheds United Vermont did allow me to apply for more funds through them. And they're gonna consider that application. However, I guess I kind of just want in writing that even if we don't get a grant for this, and I'll keep trying to find a grant for it, and I'm hopeful that the WOV grant funds will come through. We need to do phase 2, which is improving our QuickBooks systems and improving our timekeeping systems and making it a lot administratively more easy. I think it's a little over $6,000 is the estimate right now. It will save me days of my life to make these changes. And so I guess I'm just asking for it in writing, that pending the decision of the WOV grant, we would still move forward with structural integrity on phase 2, even if there isn't.
And they're gonna actually do the work?
They're going to do the work. We have to like tell them how we want, like all the lists of all the grants that we have to set up in the timesheets, but they're going to do the work to get it set up.
Wow, that's not
Yes.
very much money.
I agree. He seems very confident in his skills. I think we've been working most of it, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So
I make a motion that we go through with the grant with structural integrities for phase 2, or with the project with phase 2, regardless of grant funding.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
thanks all. Alrighty,
And if you could share their report, I don't think I saw his report for phase 1.
we can definitely share the report.
Okay.
Yes. We'll include that on the email to everybody too.
Okay.
The next thing to talk about is 4 different contractor selections. And we may be interested in going to executive session at some point during the conversation, so I'm just gonna leave that there. So we've got,
Want to skip a bit and do where we don't have to do executive session, then
sure,
toward the end of the meeting.
Yep.
So
If there's anything.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
That
We can
makes
get
it.
her stuff done.
You sent me your presentation.
I did.
The next is Kate.
I feel like I should stand up.
Did I copy it? Of course I didn't, but you sent it to me.
I did send it to you. It's also in my individual and team folder,
Okay.
if that's an easier place to find it.
And so this is the start of the fulfillment of, hey, what do our staff do? Let's meet our staff and let's have them come sit in on board meetings and let's rotate through that so you guys can get to know everybody and it can feel great. I also think we just finished annual reviews last week and almost every single staff person wanted more practice public speaking. So
Wow.
Wait, not me. You picked me first.
yeah, I did. You're right. Take it
Alright.
away. Actually, hold on, I didn't share it with Molly. Molly can't see it.
All right, and I put together a quick little presentation, but please feel free to interrupt with questions or thoughts along the way. I'm sure I forgot something. But hello, everyone, I'm Kate. I am the Ag Programs Manager, and I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I then went to UVM and studied environmental science and thought I was not gonna stay in Vermont, but here I am, and I don't plan on leaving.
Thank you.
But when I started here, I actually just thinking about this the other day. I was an AmeriCorps member and I was doing mostly water quality stuff and education, and now do none of that and just do ag stuff.
Was that with the district?
It
Oh,
was.
that's what I thought.
It was.
And are you a gardener?
I am.
Nice
That's my
radishes.
garden.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say, look at those
classic.
radishes.
These are things that I grew in my garden. There's a
Awesome.
lot of strawberries in there right now.
Yeah.
But yes, it's like the size of half of this room, but I grow as much as I can in there. What do I work on? So when we were doing our annual reviews, I took a look at my timesheet and I made this fun little pie chart of what am I spending my time doing? 76% of my time is ag. So that's what these bigger categories are, the ag, CWIP, and the pay for phosphorus. I also do spend a little bit of time doing tree planting and tree stewardship, which I love because I get to go outside. And then there's a variety of other things that end up taking between 1% and 4% of my time. But for the most part, ag.
What does that mean exactly? I think I'm the newest board member.
That is a great question.
I
So
know you're looking at me very funny.
What does ag mean?
Contact.
Yeah,
Contact.
I know what it means, but I mean, I come.
I
from
think her
farm.
question's a really good one, that we need to have some more field tours of projects,
Like-
not just presentations.
Like, what do
board
you
meetings.
do with the
Ag, in
ag?
the
work?
ag.
that's a great question. So the next two slides are what I'm doing
Okay,
this
great.
week. So why don't I do those? And then
Okay.
if you want a more broad, like
Yeah.
throughout the year, we can do that next. So what then I was like, okay, well, what do I work on more specifically? And I looked at my calendar and my to-do list for this week, and I summarized some of the more exciting points in the next couple slides. So one project that falls into the ag category are these fission soil health cohorts, which is a cohort that we do with UVM Extension and a number of farms to help answer soil health questions that the farmers have. And so last week, Morgan and I went out and we collected some soil samples. And so this week I have to do the not quite as fun part of like doing all the paperwork and the processing and getting those shipped out to the labs.
Did they Cornell?
What's that?
Does it go to Cornell?
It does. These ones are for the Cornell Assessment of Soil Health or cache samples. And so we have some of the soil going there, and then actually some of the soil is going to the Shrek lab, which is the new UVM soil health lab. So we split some of that soil up and did a couple different sets of paperwork to go with both of those samples.
And what does fission stand for?
Farmer Soil Health Innovator Network.
Okay.
Heather Darby came up with it.
I wish the I was first,
I know.
well, earlier,
Yeah.
then it would be fishing.
What's a Shrek lab? Does it have a?
It's
thing on
soil
it?
health,
Wow.
soil health
Big
research
guy
and
in
ed
there.
extension center.
I say millennials came up with the title.
Even to remember, easier.
Yeah. Sure. lab.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
but
Also
there-
a Heather Darby.
Yeah, yeah, she needs an acronym for her acronym. Yeah, so some of those samples are going there. Some of them are in our fridge right there at the moment. And we also have our bi-weekly meeting with them where we talk about what's going on, what various farmers are up to, what questions we have, and what samples we're collecting. Pay for phosphorus is another thing that falls under the ag category. So this is a program through the Agency of Ag. We work with about 30 farms in this program. And today is the deadline for all of them submitting their nutrient management plans and a number of grazing plans and some updates we have to do in farm prep, which is the software behind this program. So that's a big deal for this week.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do people get paid for participating in these programs, or what do they do? They get
Yeah.
paid?
Yeah, so Pay for Performance is a program where we're working with farms on the data entry piece of it. And so we input information about their fields, what crops they're growing, the manure, the fertilizer, all the applications on the fields. And then there's some other information that's pulled in that's like rainfall data and climate data to help model how much phosphorus they're losing.
Okay.
And then they get paid based off of their reductions to what the modeled phosphorus losses are.
Got it.
So if they're
As
doing
opposed to
good
the
things,
Practices.
exactly,
Used to be, we just paid, NRCS just paid for practices.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
So if they're doing good things like cover cropping,
Okay,
that's
good.
gonna reduce it.
I know Pay for Performance is USDA funded, so what about the fishing?
It's a CIG, NRCS
It's
grant
also
that
NRCS.
UVM holds and we are a subcontractor on.
Okay, that's what I suspect.
Yes.
Is it national or local?
The Vermont one.
Okay.
Good point though, on the funding. And then tree stewardship, I've been doing less of this year, but this morning I was working with Carrie to do the quarterly reports for LCVP for that project.
What's LCBP?
Lake Champlain Basin Program, thank you, Lauren. It helps fund the time that we spend doing weed whacking.
But most of the time we working with farmers, the farmers are not getting paid.
Okay.
But for the pay for performance, they are.
Mhm. So they're participating just because they know it's gonna improve their situation, or because they wanna be good souls, or?
For
It's all
the,
required.
for the
Okay.
fishing, that's kind of their own interest.
Uh-huh.
I think they got like $1,000 stipend or something, but not worth anything, and then anything we do for like nutrient management planning, yep, which is here, is part of state regulations.
Okay.
We help them meet those state regulations, but we are not the regulators.
Got it. All right.
But it also helps if you're the farmer. To me, it's simple, I was doing the same. What's my soil lacking? This is the crop I'm putting in, what nutrients does it need? If I got plenty of phosphorus, I don't need to have, and the guys would get pissed off at the fertilizer plant, says I come in, I want to mix. Well, it costs you a little, yeah, I'm gonna use a lot less,
Mhm.
it's a
Got it.
recipe.
All right, got it.
Yeah. And so
What's
then
lacking?
Yeah.
Something.
this week, Ag CWIP is the funds that that cover a lot of the work we do with farmers. And so like I
And
was
what that
saying,
stand for?
oh
You can do this.
gosh, agricultural, I don't know.
Clean water
Clean
investment
water.
program.
Thank you.
Water.
And this is entirely state money.
Okay.
I see that.
Yes. So this is what covers that big piece of the pie chart of where I spend my time.
VACD. Through VACD.
Through NRCC,
Okay.
or whatever that's worth.
Years from now, I'll remember all this.
We need to get her the supervisor's handbook.
Yes, you write it down.
Middle speak had a lot of acronyms, you guys, and
We're up there.
I don't even know half of them anymore.
I was better one.
Yeah, that's funny because I probably say Ag CWIP every single day of my life, but I don't actually know what it stands for.
Yeah,
Um,
it's our largest grant.
And how many, so do 100% of the farms that we might pass on the road and participate in this?
I think we actually have some numbers that she's gonna get to on that.
Okay.
I don't know the total number of farms in Franklin County though, but I do know the number.
She might have that number.
58, but that's including some in Grand Isle as well.
Ooh, okay, we're pretty
Is that
close.
dairy farms?
It's all farms.
All farms.
That, all farms that the Agency of Ag recognizes.
Okay. I was gonna say, go to the USDA Census of Ag and it's gonna be hundreds more.
That number is one that we collaborate
Oh,
with. It's
okay.
240 between Franklin, some Grand Isle. That
So it's a small,
There's that many.
certified small farms and above,
Yeah.
size wise?
Well,
it also
Not
That
includes.
counts as 6 or.
Do you have a WQ mean
Or
talking
2
about
hours,
farms,
right.
like non-wrapped farms?
Non-what farms?
cross.
Non-RAP farms.
Yeah.
Required, so farms that are below
The
required.
threshold.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're listed as WQ and
Smaller than 50 cows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been trying to figure out
50 animal units?
why
Yeah.
they're called WQ farms, because
I
WQ.
don't know what that stands
But yeah, it's small farms to large farms.
Okay.
she's working on something really exciting for next meeting.
But this is that big piece of the pie chart of like what time is spent where. This week we are working on Ag CWIP reporting, so for everything that we have done in the last 6 months. We have reporting that's due in a couple weeks for all of that, and so we're working on compiling that, so that's where I'm gonna spend a chunk of my time this week. And
I have always done that reporting, and this year it's very exciting.
so fun. And each week we also have an ag team meeting. I think this week Maria is out of town, so we might not do it this week, but almost every other week we have a meeting with the ag team. Talking about what we're doing, what we need to be doing, where we're headed, what's working, what's not working. And a lot of my time is spent on collaborating and figuring all of that out together. This week I'm also working with a couple farms to finish their nutrient management plan updates. So nutrient management plan updates are something that we do with a bunch of 18 farms, I think, right now. And each year an update happens so that they have a plan for what nutrients they have, where they're going. Making sure that it complies with all of the rules around various requirements on applications and other things. Working with one farm to finish up a grazing plan. I also have some follow-up this week from a meeting we had on Friday with some folks from NRCS. And there's a farm that's working with NRCS and Agency of Ag to help address some water quality concerns on their farm. And so there's some coordination that's happening there that I'm
About them.
Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. Agency of Ag. And then this week, we're also gonna start working with a few farms that needs some extra support with their certified small farm operation certification form that's supposed to be submitted every January, but maybe hasn't been. And then we have some farms that we're helping get up-to-date manure samples, soil samples, record keeping assistance, all of that kind of stuff. And then I'm really hoping I get to do some Russell 2, another acronym, which is the Revised Universal Soil Loss Equation 2. That helps calculate how much soil loss is happening on fields and drive some of the recommendations and regulations around what you can be farming on that field.
How much manure you can put on and everything else.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm hoping to get to that this week as well. We shall see. That's why it's on the bottom of this.
Treatment plan.
Exactly. And then one other thing I just wanted to add to this presentation. These are the 6 of us that do work with farms for the most part. There's some other people, Arena sometimes hops in to help soil sampling and things. But these are the 6 people that work in Pay for Phosphorus and work on nutrient management plans. And then the 3 of us, Maria, Morgan, and I, make up the core of the ag team right now. And so we have some projects that just the 3 of us work on, and then some projects that a larger group work on.
Mel and Dorothy at this point in time work pretty exclusively with like 3 or 4 farmers on every program. So they don't have to know everything about everything, but they are their farmers' main point of contact.
And then I thought we should share some ag team highlights of like what has ag team been up to. Our district works with 132 farms on a semi-regular basis, which is a lot of farms. We work with 30 farms in the Pay for Phosphorus program. So these are farms we definitely work with more regularly. Molly Magnan could tell you more about what that process entails. And then this year, so far, we've worked with 4 farms on land treatment plans, which are an NRCS plan. And then 3 of those farms on developing a nutrient management plan from the ground up. And then we're currently working with 18 farms on updating nutrient management plans that might have been created in past years. There's some other things that I put in here that because we're still in the process of doing ag CWIP reporting, I didn't have fun numbers. But can add them next week if you're interested. But we're also assist a lot of farms with soil and manure sampling. Farms need to have up-to-date soil samples every 3 years and manure samples ideally every year. And so there's a lot of coordination that happens. For the manure samples, we just pick them up and take them to the lab. The soil samples, we actually go out and collect those a lot of the time. We work with some farms in a farm team capacity, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that is a couple slides in the future. And we're also working with these 6 farms in this soil health cohort that we were talking a little bit about before, to address some more bigger picture questions about soil beyond just what a nutrient management plan does. We help farms navigate the ag guide that you guys have all seen, in addition to creating the ag guide, which is very exciting. And that's really cool that it's shared all across the state and used by a lot of different people. And we also spend a lot of our time helping farms with grant applications and reporting. So if they're applying to a grant through the Agency of Ag, we help with the application, we help them understand what that grant entails.
Yeah.
And then the reporting that comes
That's why I
after.
figured some board members. This is. Sorry,
it.
excuse me.
And then we also spend a lot of time working with partners, and coordinating with them because a lot of us are working on the same farms. And so making sure that we're all communicating with each other and on the same page of what different people are doing, especially when grants and programs need to be merged to accomplish these larger projects. And more, but that's all the highlights that put on one slide, so that's where I and then next up, I just wanted to quickly highlight 2 different projects. And maybe when other folks on the ag team come in, they can talk about different things. But Pay for Performance or Pay for Phosphorus, as it's sometimes called, is a program that we spend a lot of our time working on. And we are very excited that we do have 30 farms enrolled. And I think you guys can correct me. There's like 50, is it like 55 farms statewide that are in that?
Oh.
63, something like that?
It's like 63.
63.
We work with almost half
Yeah.
of all the farms in this program in the state.
So it is a big chunk of the total farms that are in that program that are in our county, which is very exciting. And the other fun statistic about that is it's like 15% of all of the acres of ag land in Franklin and Grand Isle County are in this program with farms that we're working with, which is very exciting. And this year payments for farms that are enrolled range between $3,000 and $50,000 per farm with, I don't know, actually, this is, no,
That does not
That-
include, that's 22 and 23,
thank you.
not 24.
So this number on the bottom is even higher. So it is a really beneficial program for a lot of the farms that are enrolled in it.
And $50,000 is the cap per farm.
Yeah.
Per year.
Yes. And
It's a
then
lot of work on the farmer's part.
it is.
It's not just a giveaway.
Molly can tell you that too.
Yeah, I have a question about that in just a minute. Carry on. And I'll ask the-
Yeah. And then I guess the other thing that I wanted to highlight, and I will say I did pick these two things because I've already made slideshows about each one of these topics, and so I could very easily put together this one. But farm teams is another way that we work with farms and are figuring out how to be effective and helpful and useful in this space. Because often there are folks, and this was just one example from one farm that I'm working with. They have farmers that are on this farm and a family friend that's helping them with a lot of their bookkeeping and decision making right now. They are working with 3 different people from UVM Extension on grazing plans and getting some technical assistance on forage. They're also working with an additional grazing consultant on their grazing plan. They're working with NRCS. They have 3 different people from NRCS involved. They have 5, I think, at this point, folks from Agency of Ag involved, from BMP to the Pasture Surface Water Fencing Program, to the FAP program. And they're also working with some folks from NOFA Vermont, which is the Organic Certification Agency and Advocacy groups, to talk about organic transition. So, and they're working with us. And so that's 19 people that this one farm is working with. And that is a lot. That is really overwhelming. And so what we've implemented in this situation is I've been the farm team manager. And so I talk to all those 19 people and then I help relay information to the farm. And when the farm is like, oh, I was supposed to send somebody this information, I figure out which of those 19 people it was supposed to go to because they don't know. So, and when we need to schedule a meeting, instead of all 19 of those people calling the farm and being like, hey, can we meet on Tuesday? Some of that information is kind of being funneled through me. So there's a lot of collaboration that's happening there. And when we do have site visits, we take notes and share them with the group.
And that's just for grazing mostly. Does this farm doesn't grow any corn?
This one, they don't grow any corn. They are grazing. They're implementing more rotational grazing. And then they have a pretty significant barnyard water issue going through it. So there have been a few different people involved on that front, but a lot of people. And there's some other districts that do farm teams. Each district does it a little bit differently. We're working on figuring out what it looks like here. But this feels like a very important place for us to be at the moment.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you were just John Q. Public, you know, what is all this in service of? Like in the very biggest picture? Is it about water quality and can we prove that, okay, I'm assuming all this wasn't happening 25 years ago. So back then there was this and now because of all this is happening, there's that. Is there any of that? Like I'm just thinking, you know, big picture, what's the yeah. Yeah, I'm totally for it or I wouldn't be doing this. But I'm just saying, your average person who usually is pretty underinformed about what this sort of a thing, how it applies to them. Or is the big picture to keep farms in Vermont, so we're not all just one giant suburb? I don't know. What is the biggest picture? What do you, and this could be just in your heart. What do you think is the biggest thing you're serving?
Yeah, I mean, I think the farm viability piece and like making sure there are still farms really is the core of it, because without that, all the other work doesn't happen or matter. Most of the funding we get is tied to water quality, and a lot of the work that we're doing is kind of funneled through that lens. But I do feel like farm viability is the
And water
like
quality.
heart of the issue.
But how to show that to the general public, they show the water quality numbers, but they're improving on, and they have been.
And are they? Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, they are.
okay.
Well,
When I came here in 1987, look, Lake Champlain up towards the Tyler place by the midsummer, late summer is considered just a muck.
Yeah,
Um,
so we should probably at a future board meeting, talk about looking at state of lakes. Linda and Dan.
You should be able to produce with just like that, what the results of all this work is.
And any water quality sampling data.
Yes, I just think that, it's pretty easy to have a department like this just get snipped right off the vine, because somebody doesn't understand the importance of it, and if you had, you know, there's all kinds of people who are legislators in the government house now, people that never set foot on a farm, people that are trust fund folks, people that, you know, and you should be able to produce what has happened in your transition.
We did just get funding to do, not necessarily, I'm not gonna call it an annual meeting, but not an annual meeting. With a lot of the data from the state of the lake, a lot of the data from the clean water annual reports to kind of bring in, honestly, to give us some time to look at those numbers and have that answer more at the top of our tongue, and also present it to our community and get some feedback on.
And I
What I
think
think.
preservation of farms is a big deal, because a lot of people move here for the bucolic nature.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to have every single square inch look like a suburb. So I'm not.
But with that thought, it shouldn't be just preserving farms. It should be making farms, allowing them to earn a living,
Yeah,
as opposed to we put us under a bubble. Oh, this is how they use the word. We're not serfs. We
Yeah.
want to be independent.
yeah.
And some of these programs that help farmers stay in business
Mhm.
are backdoor,
Okay.
and we never used to have them because we were independent and we were profitable. But the government has changed their ideas how to pay, and it's a cheap food policy,
Okay, got
which
it.
is still a
Big
mindset.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
keeping policy is huge. So, yeah, anyway, just my two cents. All right.
Good question, Linda.
And you led us right into our segue of questions.
I love these pictures. This is so fun.
I was telling Lauren, I made the presentation pretty quickly, and then I was like, oh, I should find some pictures for the last slide, and this took me a little bit of time.
Yeah, that when we went to Nathaniel Fortin's orchard.
Yes,
It is.
that was our first field trip as a small team.
So one of the things that's really challenging, Linda, is to show without a shadow of a doubt that the practices are making a difference in water quality. It can take years for the water quality data to respond. So part of what we have to do is have faith that we're doing the right things, and in the long run, it's gonna pay off. There are some projects going on where they have very controlled watershed, water quality measurement projects, specifically in Addison County, one that USDA is funding quite significantly, that we got going when I was still in charge. And basically, it's controlled watershed studies where, one, they're just doing business as usual and across the whole entire watershed. And then the other watershed, not on a farm, the other watershed, they are doing high aggressive implementation of various different practices.
Mhm.
And trying to show with water quality data that it's making a difference downstream,
Yeah,
because the proof is in the pudding downstream. It's really hard to show it on a per farm basis.
and it's really hard to convince politicians who think they may only be around another 2 years to vote for
To
something.
wait,
When
to be
somebody
patient.
says that.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying, just for the,
It took 100 years to get this way.
yeah,
yeah,
We're not gonna solve it in 10 years.
yeah,
right.
but here's the direction this particular measurement is moving in.
Yeah.
Like in Rock River, we've been working Rock River up in, Highgate, wherever it is, mostly Highgate,
Canada, I did.
Canada, Highgate. Goes up into Canada, comes back and goes very near Tyler Place, I think, where it
Yeah.
exits. The water quality data it's still showing significant impairment. And we
That's what I've been reading
collectively,
about.
as a group, all have been working very hard in
But
that
that's
watershed
good.
for 20+
The
years.
Rock River goes partly in Canada,
Oh, so you don't
and
get.
so we haven't,
But there are water quality sampling
yeah,
before it goes into Canada and after it comes
And
back.
after it comes back.
Friends of Northern Lake Champlain is doing that right now, so.
Yeah, that study's cool. I
I
know.
haven't heard anything about it in a while, so I'm
Mm.
going to another board meeting here at 4:30. I'll find out. I might ask about that one. So, yeah, it's all very complicated. Mother Nature is complicated. And how this plays out. And then on top of what's going on the farms, you have stream bank erosion. So when we get really high velocity storms, you could be doing everything upstream in the watershed, and then you've got all this soil eroding from the stream banks, and it's full of phosphorus because of the, groundwater side hill seep and stuff that's happening. So, anyway. But we can't lose hope.
Any other questions for Kate? I guess also maybe some feedback, was this good?
Well done, loved it, loved it. Let's go on the field.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
come. We're gonna be doing a lot of soil sampling this fall.
I think we should have some, like, here's some potential field days for the board to, instead of something prearranged, we just tag along with you so that you don't have to go out, do
Yeah, I don't want
a lot of
to
work.
make a dog and
Make,
pony show.
yeah,
just
make a
for
lot
us.
of work for us.
But if the opportunity.
There's a list of events coming up too, that you all are more than welcome to join. Some are
Saw that, I
slightly
signed up for one of them.
excellent. Yeah, so we're gonna do a,
What's that?
the composting.
Mhm.
The Rennes event. And then we're gonna be at Dozleap Farm. Honestly, that one's gonna be cool on August 8th. We're actually gonna talk about the soil health stuff. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be alive August weeks,
That's fair.
or in Maine, relaxing somewhere.
Great. Thanks, Kate.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You know what the best part is? I didn't have to make that presentation.
they did good.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, you're setting a pretty high standard for the rest of the folks coming in.
I can say to a lot of kids, good job. It was. They presented.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for working for us.
Thank you for working for us.
Don't go back to Pennsylvania this year, like.
I'm not planning on it. I love going back home to visit, and it also just gives me, I was in New York City recently, and I was like, wow, I feel so grateful that I live in Vermont and not here.
Now-
And I have a similar feeling when I go to Pennsylvania too.
What is it, Pittsburgh, you said?
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Oh, Pittsburgh.
yeah.
I had a guy that just came out to my place a couple of days ago, he's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Mm. Yeah.
What made you choose UVM? I think I asked you this before.
I wanted to study environmental science, and I was a figure skater. And they had both programs.
What it was, yes,
Yeah, so I was either here or UNH
yeah.
were kind of what I was deciding between UNH.
So you were a figure skater, not a hockey player.
Correct. Yes,
Do you
there
still
is a
skate?
difference. Only a little bit.
The next item on our agenda was just to, we kind of talked about this at the last meeting, but didn't have time for questions. So the locally led results. Again, there's a 109-page document that Arena pulled together.
Amazing.
Have a time and want to read. Pretty dry.
So when is that money gonna be available? Is it available now?
It's going to be available for applications that get ranked for fiscal year 26, so
Okay,
by
so it's
August
not the
22nd.
Okay.
And so we just secured 1.5 million of the 2 million request
And
that
are
we had.
people applying now?
Yes,
All
it
the
hasn't
time.
officially been announced.
Yeah, I mean, we get applications all the time, as we know, but,
Yeah.
we haven't had our big influx quite yet. I think people are busy.
So I guess my real question is there gonna be a need for that much money?
So we had based the 2 million request on unfunded applications from last year.
That's what I thought.
So they'll get rolled over, and then I imagine probably a handful more.
Yeah, we had a lot that weren't funded this year.
Yeah. I think there was a really good, I should have had this, but I don't. I think 10 of the conservation districts across the state submitted requests for locally led funding. And everything got some amount of funding. Ours is definitely the largest single pool. Which is really exciting. But there were some really fun other pools. Some folks had like an invasive pool. Bennington had an agroforestry pool.
Orleans has like 3 different pools.
Yeah. So I think we're all kind of getting our feet wet
So
with
what
this.
type of work What project can you get from this farmstead portal?
It's mostly Jesus, that's
Waste storage.
Thank you. I knew what I was saying was wrong, for the
Yeah.
record. Waste storage, some laneways and some grazing infrastructure also counted too in this pool.
Energy audits,
And-
actually.
Yeah. Nutrient management plans. Here we go.
You would think waste
Animal.
storage would start slowing down sometime.
You'd think.
That's what I've been saying.
The proverbial, it's my pit's too small, never designed it big enough when I first.
So these are all the practices.
But then again, I found fault with expansion is that the bankers went to the money for 50 to 100 count expansion. Then ever ask you, how much more land are you picking up to take care of your,
Including FSA.
yes. And that to me led into problem.
Yep.
Too many animals for little,
Yep.
too little land.
I think that's all been
Your
fixed with
library,
the ag water
library.
quality partnership. That was definitely something. Supposed to be included.
I have no idea, but that might have been fixed before I really understood what I was doing here.
That'd be a good Sarah question.
But anyway,
Yeah, and so I think too, like, this is a really comprehensive document that explains Franklin County really well, and also, the conservation action plan is over 20 pages of, here's all the feedback we've gotten from our community about what they're seeing as needs. Here's what we think some potential solutions might be. And I think this is gonna be a pretty good guiding document moving forward as we continue to apply for more grants and try to leverage state and federal money. And try to inform programs we participate in for our farmers. For example, for soil, we've got a quick overview. And then all of the concerns and issues for different sectors. And then some ideas about how we could track improvements. What kind of technology is needed, what existing programs are out there, and then what some crowdsourced, new programs and processes could be. So it's a really cool document. If you haven't read it, I know it's really long, but
I'm just gonna put it out on the record. I'd really like to see us do some more ecological stuff in future years. We've been spending millions of dollars on waste storage facilities. Forever.
would love to have that conversation. And have you guys participate a little bit more in the local ed process moving forward. That would be great.
and you take 1.5 million and size of some of these.
Maybe one or two pits, three,
Yeah,
it depends
there you
upon
go.
their business structure.
There you go.
Yeah, we talked about this when we got our survey results earlier this year, but we found that most of the people that responded to the survey did want kind of like ecologically focused
Mhm.
practices, but we knew that they weren't the same type of landowners that we wanted to be serving. Like the farmers weren't really reflected in the survey
Right.
results as much as like
Yeah.
your average landowner. So it's kind of a hard thing to figure out who do you prioritize.
Plus, I just think we get more public support if you figure out a way to always tie it to the greater goal.
Yeah.
Of the environment.
Yeah.
That's the only reason anybody cares.
Yeah, would love to
that
have you
will
guys
happen.
involved in the local ed process, more this year to really frame that narrative. I think that'd be great.
And I think that throws some of the plan, I don't think, that throws some of the planning back on the farm manager. That if I'm gonna expand. I'm not gonna get a freebie pit.
Sure.
We're gonna have to work it into our financial to see if it's doable. With our cost of expansion, which would also be the wastewater facility.
Yeah,
As it's gone in the last 4 to 5 years, they've done a lot of, getting collections from the governments to do their pits. It's been 4 to 5 years ago.
yeah. Great. Pre-sale finances. if she wants to load. Couple of big takeaways. Had about $10,000 less of income than last year, but pretty on par with the year before. I think this is the first year we didn't grow, which I think is again, I don't know if you guys have seen, but Gardner Supply went out this year.
They're going
They-
bankrupt.
They've gone bankrupt, so.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Well, they
So that's
filed
what
for
we-
bankruptcy, it
Oh.
doesn't mean they're
Yes.
gonna close,
Right.
fair.
they could survive it, so.
You know, on the tree sale thing.
Yeah.
What if it's more about expanding the people we get involved in? Because I am always surprised at how many people don't know about it. And I can only plant so many trees. I'm like really done planting. I bet you.
Me too, but no, I didn't really any this year,
Hundreds
like,
of trees
I haven't planted my own.
in lifetime. At our first farm and at the current one,
Yeah.
100. And I can't think of what to do with 2 big pine trees I need to move.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have enough place for
Yeah.
one single tree. And it's like that, getting back to the well thing, but there's all kinds of new landowners, new people with smaller pieces of property that want privacy.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a marketing thing here that we could start to think about in December, January. To get new homeowners, like on the way up St. Albans Hill. Like, God, they must.
Reach out to the realtors.
Yeah,
Yes,
for instance.
150 cedar trees that go around that property, and
we sell a lot of cedar trees.
yeah, but whatever,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, a lot of conservation districts have been doing really creative things in the past few years, like having conservation fairs or selling like potted herbs, things like that, which I
Yes.
think draw different audiences in than just like, here's
Yeah.
here's some tree stuff. So I think, yeah,
I
we're
think
definitely.
there's some marketing to be done
Yeah.
there, and you would surprise yourself, because all these new homeowners, they want privacy, no
Yeah.
matter what size they bought.
I do think we probably had 100 new buyers every year of the 400 buyers that we have every year. We do have some really loyal clients,
Yeah.
for sure.
But you gotta replace the people like me.
And,
Right.
Yeah, cause I get to a point, well, I've got this done, I've got this
Right.
done, I've got this done. Well,
Yeah.
we just stick them in a loop.
Because you keep track of who you lost,
Right.
sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you have like a couple folks who just are $1,000, $2,000 every year.
we used to have Ben and Jerry's, we used to have Tyler Place, and then
Right,
with their volume, they go someplace else.
right,
Yeah,
right. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'd be interested in helping with some kind of marketing thing.
Who-
So maybe December, January.
a bunch of folks in Montgomery.
Like farmers? Just
No.
Landowners?
You know, there's in Montgomery. I think they're probably like making their own food forest at their house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They must.
Friends of Clarissa's?
And what about the home show, at the complex in March? Yeah, thanks, Molly. That's a good idea.
Yeah, the home show,
Yeah.
oh my God.
We could definitely
2,000
advertise some
people.
stuff there.
Yeah,
They charge about $700 to come to.
What do you think? Maybe we could give somebody our flyers?
Yeah, it's, and they don't give you a break for nonprofits, because we checked.
Interesting.
Yep.
I mean, I
I
feel
would be
like
surprised that you wouldn't sell at break even at least.
Yeah.
Just for an experiment.
we could also combine with like finding around like Champlain and MRBA. We've done
Yeah, you
we've gone-
could have a combined
Yeah,
table.
we've done RCS. I know they can't pay for it this year
What?
for
You
sure.
could combine with, do you know a guy named Tony McCracken?
No,
Tony McCracken had those 2 buildings that were outside the complex this year if you went.
Oh,
So
you
it's
mean,
got-
McCracken Farms?
No, he is he is related to
The
that.
ones that sell in the sheds?
He sells the sheds and a whole bunch of other stuff. And people that are doing that kind of construction are also wanting to do some landscaping.
Yeah.
And also like the kinds of stuff he sells, it goes with the same people who would want to put in 50 of this or put trees all around their new little.
You know where we're talking about down first, as you just get into Georgia?
Yeah.
The livestock auction.
Yeah.
Farm.
I've known
Okay.
him since he was.
I think I knew what the name was, but yeah, I
I bet I
definitely
could get
I
us,
want one of those.
Probably.
What's that?
I want one of those. sheds.
Third
Those
or
are
fourth
nice.
tree.
yeah, and I
Okay.
bet you, he always buys a huge spot.
Yeah,
I bet you he would let us use a corner of it, because it would all go together with what he does. I'm just thinking of partnerships and a marketing mindset,
yeah.
and then that just, it would enhance what he
Maybe
does.
you
too.
could
I could totally approach him, we know, I've been, so.
That sounds right.
It's also
Did you work on his team?
I've known him since he was big.
lawn care management.
I'll just say it.
Right,
They
Yeah.
do landscaping occasionally and
yeah,
even tree services, which are taken down, or maybe somebody wants to replace.
right,
But generally lawn care needs into possibly some landscape work.
yeah,
I think connecting with realtors and getting some kind of brochure in the hands of the realtors that just goes right in their packet to everybody.
yeah,
As far as I
Let's do
know,
it.
realtors are still doing a lot of.
I think you'd have to create a
Printed
brochure
materials.
that made it very abundantly clear exactly what somebody's getting if they look at this brochure. Let's look at that too. Cause a brochure
One-page
for that,
flyer doesn't
yeah,
have to
that's
be-
it. That has too much information,
yeah,
you know, something that says, want more privacy?
Right.
Want to be part of the green,
Wanna attract pollinators,
that's right.
you know, use some
Yeah.
Three
buzzwords.
questions that could cover almost anybody who's a property owner, developer.
yeah. Keep talking.
Did you make a sale to for arborvitae's to somebody on Ballard Road? One of my neighbors planted like 50 or 60 little tiny arborvitae's, and I said, where did they get them so little?
I can't do that to look.
Arborvitae's, yeah, just like hedge,
Cedar.
the hedge.
I'm a major gardener, and done that thing. Do they have little thorn? No.
No.
Some cedar.
Common landscape,
Perfect, thank you.
common landscaping,
Okay,
shrub, evergreen shrub that is used for privacy.
okay.
I call it.
Riverview, Eastern White Cedar, all the same thing.
Oh, you have the right stuff, there's no problem.
Our costs are really the same in terms of supplies as previous years, pretty on par. We did work a bit more this year than past years. We had been pretty stable at around 460 in past years, and this year is closer to 600. I think we just have more staff. It also was our smoothest year ever, so. At the end of the day, we still made a net profit with the staff time costs accounted for.
Did NRCS go up and help this year?
They did, and we actually got like almost all of it done in one day,
Yeah.
which was nuts.
Yeah.
That was so great, and we did dominoes again, and it was so great. My favorite number is that I only worked 125 hours on it this year, which is much less than most years. So it was a huge success again. It's not a money maker,
No, but it's,
but
as long as it clears.
Yep.
And Dan won't let it go because it helps the community. Because other than that, as far as I look at finance and stuff. It could go, but serves other purposes.
Yeah.
Anybody, when you
Yeah.
mention,
The trees there.
NRCD, they're like, what, when you say the tree sale?
right,
Oh,
It's the only thing people know you by.
it is, and that's
Yeah.
why we will keep doing it.
Yeah.
Despite all of
That's
my
gonna be for,
feelings.
see where you kind of.
Yeah.
From,
Mhm.
because that.
I haven't
parcel
started,
of Land officially. Is placard now for sale,
we did learn that.
and they got the 118 acres, or the field day size wasn't 118 acres. They've included more land that they
Mm.
own,
Sure.
and I thought maybe. There's that 31 acres that Harrison owns, but it isn't, it's still separate.
Okay. Yeah, I have not started looking for a new home for us yet. I have the list of all the great ideas and it's next on the list. I had been kind of putting it off in case somebody had responded for us to buy a building, for us to just like do it there next coming year, but it sounds like that's probably not gonna come to fruition by the time we need it to, so we will find another spot to have it this year.
One of the ideal parcels of land is behind that. And it was owned by the Furlan family
Mhm.
farm. Very similar soils and everything, as far as percolation and less mud. But whether that, and I believe it's still privately owned,
Mm,
but at what cost and.
Right.
But even though the parcel, did you hear what Harrison wants for that 31 acre? 850,000.
Wow.
For a piece of property, that a lot of the sand's been removed. There's also a few,
Where's it at?
it's in back of the field day.
Oh,
site
at
in
field
the
days,
back,
okay.
How many acres?
31. And it's been mined out for sand, and there's also a couple of some species violations they took care of. Sign this, no.
Wow.
Anyway,
So-
ongoing.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing some outreach about the new location for the tree sale for next year, but just haven't gotten to it yet. But I know who I'm going to reach out to, and that'll be on the docket pretty soon here, because we'll have to get that locked in pretty soon here. Let's have a board retreat in 2026 together. And have a day of hanging out and making some fun plans. Our strategic plan doesn't run out till the end of 2026. But I think starting to
Think
have a
about it.
conversation. So 2026 is when we're gonna have to do our strategic plan for the next 3 years.
Mhm.
So we can do a day of that. I think also maybe just some presentations on like, what is this network? What are we doing? Some of the bigger picture numbers.
Well, if we did a retreat, that would be fun to do some field visits with it.
Field
Just so-
visits.
I mean, I don't know whether have you ever like seen an infrastructure improvements on a dairy farm and understand
Never,
all of those terminology, all that terminology,
Yeah.
what it means.
Yeah, we can
No,
definitely do
I've
that.
grown corn and soybean land.
Yeah,
I've never,
Yeah.
used Illinois soil for a cow.
So, yeah, that sounds great.
That's not the attitude they have.
But you
That's
have,
its goal.
you have land out there that's
50 feet deep,
200,
just black dirt,
yeah.
Yep.
not a rock, not a stone,
We have 50 feet deep or,
rock and stone.
yeah, rocky bones. Yes.
Yeah, so trying to
Yeah.
find a time now, knowing that, so we have a grant for us to do all this work and prepare everything for this type of thing, and maybe hire in some folks to come do some presentations or
Mhm.
whatever we wanna do. And so we actually have about a year from today to do this. I know there's various levels of people traveling and hunting and all that stuff, so I figured we could nail down a date today and get you guys locked in.
What's the best time of year from your perspective?
Our easiest time of year
Right,
is actually the summer.
okay.
Really?
Yes, because the farmers are farming. The fiscal year has just started.
So let's narrow it down.
Should we do June next year?
What month is best?
July,
July is probably best, and I think that's within the footprint.
Yeah,
Can you pull up the green agreement for that?
That would be the next fiscal year, that would be 27.
oh, I should. Oh, did you?
For the grant, that might be okay.
Okay.
Um,
Late June. If you had to,
yeah,
let me.
we fit in 2 board meetings in late June this year, so. We could do that. We could also like. September's decent.
Yeah.
It's really like.
October to March.
Busy
October,
for farmers though.
September.
Mhm.
The corn
Late summer,
farmers,
late
yes.
summer, yeah.
We can go until December 26th.
Okay, so yeah, we could
Okay.
do July of next year.
That works.
Okay. That feels rude to
just
try to,
not-
On the second half of July.
you're always on the second half of July. Okay.
Go back to that. All right.
Molly, first half of July of 2026 work for you, if you're still there? Might not be there. I'll follow up with
Or the
Molly.
end of June.
I'm here.
The 4th of July.
You're here?
We
First
actually
2
have a
weeks of
trip
July?
plan. We have a trip planned for the first 2 weeks of July.
Next year?
Yes.
Okay,
Wow.
that's
What about
hilarious.
the Very end of June.
Well, what about end
Well,
of
we-
June next year?
So the trip is like right now this week. So like the end of June, beginning of July. But I don't know how far into July.
Okay, what about August of next year?
I'm free.
Back the
Free?
second half.
You're
We
back.
go for back a month.
All right,
I'm
second,
I'm gone the second half of August to France next year.
okay,
This is why we need to have.
this is why we're having this conversation now.
What about the 20th of June? Did you say that was too?
I think Molly said,
No,
or, yeah, 20th of June next year, Molly? Are you still in school?
no, that's a
Um,
Saturday.
Oh,
hopefully not.
okay,
No, that time frame should be fine. It's really
okay.
towards that, 28th, 29th. I'm not exactly sure what day. But it's in the high 20s that I will be not available.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a week 22nd to the 25th.
Do you wanna do it on the weekend? I mean, that's
No.
harder on the staff,
Yeah,
right?
so 15th through the 19th.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
Is-
good.
Yeah,
that works well for me. Towards the end of that week would be better for her probably, because there's a slight chance she could still be in school on the 15th probably, but that would be.
So the 18th or 19th,
the 19th is technically a federal holiday, so let's do the 18th. June 18th.
2026.
Put it on your calendars. Let me know as soon as you can't make that date. We'll change it again, but let's hold June 18th for now.
I'm never going away in June again. Our farm was a disaster. And man, if you don't keep up with things in May.
Yeah.
June,
That's
you're
right, it's
something.
gone, it's gone the rest of the
It's-
summer,
yeah.
you're right, when it
It's
comes to
gone.
weeds and
It's
stuff like
just a
that.
nightmare. Chuck and I have been killing it.
Welcome. Come on.
Yeah, because I'd never been gone.
Also, Molly, just so you know, I have this cute little name tag for you. Next time you come in the office.
I love it. I just-
Carrie and her boyfriend made it. Because Carrie's boyfriend works at the generator in Burlington and they do this kind of
Ah.
thing. And so they,
Good.
yes,
He's at Hula.
yeah, no,
It's
no, different.
It's like on Pine Street, right across
Okay.
from. I don't know, Daedalus, where Daedalus used to be, that wine bar. Near the PCA, Wellington City.
Yep, yep.
Well, it's part of it inside.
Yep.
Aren't they cute? All the
Yes.
staff have them too. But we wanted you guys to be official.
Put your finger in them.
They're dangerous too.
It's a strong magnet.
All right, where we at?
Okay, let's,
We're at scheduling the next meeting for us.
And then that's the subject.
And then we gotta go back to executive session.
Yeah.
Or potentially.
and I have started to be out on time.
Okay,
I got to get time.
I had looked at my schedule and thought that August 12th would be a good day for our next meeting. I know it's a little bit of ways. But,
What time?
I don't care.
Well, I do, that's why I need to know.
Right, so I'm saying if anybody does care and have a restriction, and we can work around
I
that.
prefer not to, it's a Wednesday, I prefer
It's
not.
a Tuesday.
Oh, I'm on August 2026. No wonder, still in twenty
I've got to
twenty-six.
be in South Burlington at 8 o'clock in the morning, but that puts me back, later.
I might be camping then, so. I could do it later that week.
Later that week's fine.
Oh, okay, that would-
14th would probably work better for me.
14th works for me.
Sure. I just have to put the garbage out.
And the time?
I'm completely open on the 14th.
Ah, you are detailed.
Anybody have anything we need to work around on the 14th? Otherwise, 1:30? Molly, are you there?
This is August.
14th.
Yep, that's good.
August 14th, 1:30?
14th,
Yep,
yep, I think that should work fine.
okay,
I'll be able to see it.
lock it in. Thank you. You got that?
And when you
Okay.
pass it, then-
Can I get a clarification on one of the earlier things we spoke about and voted on, actually?
Yes.
The increase in the board pay, does that start with this meeting?
Yeah, I was also thinking that had not
'Cause we
officially
did
gone into
clarify.
effect. When?
When it goes into effect, so.
So we could start it today. Or we could start it for the next fiscal year. Which starts tomorrow.
We might as well. Yeah, do the next fiscal.
Next fiscal year.
And we'll
Be
keep it.
consistent.
It's easier.
That sounds great.
You can add me.
That
in.
just was the back of my,
Okay.
I know, like, we didn't
Good
have
point.
a winner.
I let
Yeah,
you.
Exactly.
Right.
Really?
Mhm.
I don't drive too far.
Yeah.
The treasurer stuff, if we start meeting.
Yeah.
Which we didn't do before this one.
I know
I read the minutes and I was like, oops, we didn't get that done.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
We did also like schedule it within a week's notice of.
To make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss the selection of contractors for various design and engineering projects.
I'll second.
Okay,
All in favor?
so
So you two have to leave.
so now we turn on.
And we can turn this off.
But we keep on.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry you didn't get to see Sarah, tell her. that.
I'll let her know, yeah.
She'll show up.
That's an aye.
Okay, can you put the thing back up there?
All right, you guys are gems. Thank you, thank you.
See you later.
Super fun.
Thanks, Linda.
As per our discussion in an executive session, I make a motion that we award the Westcott Brook floodplain restoration final design, Rock River tributary final design, and Lake Harmai State Park wetland restoration 30% design to FEA. And that we award the Marsh Brook stream restoration final design to D&K.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All in
Yes.
favor?
All in favor, yes.
Aye.
Awesome. Good meeting.
Yeah.
I like